He was also used to people overtaking him. Everyone wanted to overtake him, no matter what speed he was travelling, so he had learned to stay at a reasonable 50 and to wave drivers on when he could see that the road ahead was clear. If anyone honked a horn at him, he never heard it, because he was always playing his loud music, usually of the kind known as progressive rock, from Rick Wakeman to Genesis and Emerson, Lake and Palmer. He liked the operatic structures of the concept albums and the fantastic stories they told. The Six Wives of Henry VIII, Journey to the Centre of the Earth, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. They kept him interested as he did what was, most of the time, an extremely dull job. And an occasional puff or two on the old wacky-backy didn't do any harm either. Earlier that Tuesday afternoon, he was driving south over Belderfeld Pass from the western end of Swainsdale, listening to Pink Floyd's Grantchester Meadows. It was not as progressive as some of the music he liked, but it suited his mood. He loved the drive for its panoramic views, no human habitation but for an occasional abandoned farmhouse, a distant dot on the vast landscape. Even in March, the greens were rich on the lower pastures and contrasted sharply with the patches of sere grass higher up. Belderfeld Beck ran far below, a thin silver line winding along the narrow groove of the valley bottom, and squiggly lines of rills meandered down the dale side. But Caleb didn't enjoy the journey so much on days like this. On days like this, only the experienced, the foolhardy, and the lost ventured over Belderfeld Pass. It had been clear when Caleb had made his way up the hill out of Swainsdale, but now heavy clouds massed and threatened from the north and west, and the wind was getting up, changing direction every few seconds, buffeting the high sides of the van. Caleb gripped the steering wheel tightly. He lit a cigarette and shuffled in his seat to get more comfortable. Beside the road, which hugged the steep valley side, the land fell away on his left, a long, sheer drop, littered with rocky outcrops. It seemed especially dizzying when you were driving south, magnetic too, as if the edge were calling you over, drawing you to it. Caleb tried to stick close to the centre of the road. Sheep grazed and wandered on and off the pavement, which was fenced only sporadically. Caleb was driving carefully, but he had a schedule to keep, and he was already running late, so perhaps his foot was pressed down a little harder than it should have been. Then again, the faster he got over the pass, the less likely it was that the conditions would worsen while he was up there. At least it wasn't raining yet, and there was no ice on the road. Then it happened. It seemed with the change in direction of one rough blast of wind. The next thing Caleb knew, hailstones as big as marbles were pelting down on the van, almost hard enough to shatter the windscreen. He certainly heard them over the music, and he felt as he imagined a soldier might feel under fire. Instinctively, he found himself hunkering down in his seat, as if he were dodging bullets, wondering if he should pull over until it stopped. Sometimes these storms were blessedly brief. The soothing pastoral of Grantchester Meadows played on through the bombardment. Before he could make his mind up, the hail pellets fell so thickly that for a moment he couldn't see a thing, only hear the unrelenting rat-a-tat-tat on the metal and glass. And then he saw a dark shadow looming toward him, a frightened sheep running in front of the van, right into his path. He was at one of the steepest points of the pass, and he knew he was still too close to the centre of the road. He felt himself hit the sheep before he jerked the steering wheel to avoid what he now saw was an oncoming car. But the combination of hail, shock, speed, and lack of visibility disoriented him so much that before he knew it, he crashed right through the flimsy fence and became airborne. For a split second, he had the strangest sensation of being free. He had no control. There was nothing he could do. He was floating, cut loose from all that bound him to the world, and it came as a great ecstatic rush of release.